Hello everyone, my name is Notepad Anon and I write games for fun, so what are we doing today? Well, today we're going to be working on, Zombies and Ziggurats, the next game on the list. You may be wondering, Notepad, it's after fucking midnight. You aren't streaming on the right day. You were supposed to stream on Wednesday, and it's Thursday now. And the answer would be, yeah, you're right. I got caught up talking with people in my server. It happens sometimes. They're all lovely people, most of them. So we're a little bit late, but don't worry. I have chugged down this coffee, and I have this beer here, and that'll definitely balance out everything to make sure that I am both awake and also tired. Get that real gamer energy in there. So what is this? Actually, before I begin, I should thank Fluxmoose for following. I'd also like to thank, you're gonna make me fucking say this, aren't you? Ladonia Tormeldos. Ladonia Tormelados. Meladanios. Yes, this is Zombies and Ziggurats. Now you may be wondering, Notepad, what do you have in here? What's the plan? What's the gamer moment? Yeah, you got all these things here. What's we working on? What's the plannerino? There is no plan. There is no plan. There is nothing. I am in extreme distress right now. One of the things with Zombies and Ziggurats was that I really didn't have any plan going in. Also ignore all this. I didn't have a plan for this, really. All I knew is that I wanted to do a OSR game right here. OSR right there. Old school Renaissance. Renaissance. The old school Renaissance is a movement, you could call it, a movement, quote unquote, that kind of dates back to about the early 2010s to late 2000s. Now, this little movement, you could say, was taking the old D&D notably and making it new. Thus, the old school Renaissance. People call it also the old school revival. That was also another one. There were a handful of OSR movements that kind of came and went. One of the bigger ones was kind of the what we call now just the standard OSR. You also have the Sword Dream, if anyone remembers Sword Dream. Where I get to laugh at Sword Dream. Good times. I love it. It's my favorite. I love Sword Dream. It's a thing that exists and kind of died in. There's another one in 2021. Yeah, it kind of died in 2019. This was Sword Dream. We don't talk about Sword Dream. Well, you also have things like GLOG, the Goblin Laws of Gaming. You also have a couple other, like, new SR, in which we have our favorite game of all time, Morkborg, which isn't a game. Then you have things like what produced by Syndomine, which are, kind of published by Syndomine, which are things like Stars Without Number, which kind of holds a little bit there. You get also, like, these guys do a lot of games that what we would, like, kind of call an OSR game, but not really at the same time. Hence you get things like Godbound, for example, which Godbound is quite literally D20 exalted, with all of the associated problems that entails. A lot of things with OSR, a lot of baggage, you could say, and that baggage makes things difficult, interesting, and maybe even a little bit erotic. Not really erotic, to be honest. Unless you close the fucking window like a goddamn mo. Let me. God. Goddamn. Grumble, 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 grumble. Grumble, grumble, grumble. Yeah, unless you are playing something like the Lamentations of the Flame Princess, probably one of the better known OSR products out there. Lamentations is a nudist's favorite game because he wrote it. As you can tell, this is Lamentations of the Flame Princess. It's about lamentations of flame princesses. There's a chance that's his ex-girlfriend. We don't talk about that art. We don't talk about that. Yeah, like you get all this. OSR kind of graduated beyond what we would just traditionally call, hey, it's time for just fantasy adventures in mud and blood. It's, ooh, oh no, it's also kind of upgraded beyond things such as just being fantasy. It's sci-fi now. It's anything else. It's modern. It can be anything you want it to be as long as it's called an OSR. So I asked the only reliable people I know. Thus, I asked Discord, otherwise known as I asked a bunch of anonymous schizophrenics on Discord, what they thought about it. And the answers were very conclusive. To give you a basic idea, I will give you the following. This is the objective notes of what in OSR is. And the answer is whatever the fuck it wants to be. Yeah, there wasn't really any solid note. There wasn't really any solid answer. The best answers I really got, if I scroll all the way back up here, is you get things like Wuso, for example, a constant feedback loop, which is to say that the game defaults to a yes for almost every answer player input. And I whistle to lure the goblin here so I can kill it from behind. Yes. And you just did that. Let's move on. You also get things such as from Ethical, which was rulings, not rules, player-driven play, solutions to problems requiring thought instead of just use a character sheet, dungeon / hex crawling, fidelity to feel and themes of old-school D&D. Very interesting. But then you also had a lot of notes that were just OSR by virtue of being OSR. You are what you are and nothing else. If you want to be it, you are OSR. Yeah, old school itself is basically just shit that was popular 20, 40 years ago. And then it was just like, fucking, Melon had his little fit of, what's an OSR game. But it was kind of like, it kind of boiled down, yeah, as Noonie likes to put it, if you put OSR game in your description of your game, it's an OSR game. Or, OSRs, you take old D&D or equivalent format to make it readable, plus add some flair. Cool. There really isn't any solid definition of an OSR game, but you can always see something say that isn't an OSR game, or you might see something say that clearly is an OSR game, and I think that's fascinating. Zombies and Ziggurats. My attempt to make an OSR game, but I'm gonna give you a secret. Let's say Z&Z is a OSR product, but Z&Z is not an OSR product. What do I mean by this? What am I talking about? Notepad, did you not take your schizophrenia medication? And the answer is no, of course I haven't. Why would I not? Why would I be here? At its core, I believe OSR is an attempt to go back in time a little bit. What people used to play, which was a lot more open, a lot more odd in its own way. You can make a very brave argument and say that technically Sword World is OSR, but that would be crazy talk. And luckily, we're all a little bit crazy here. I want to take as many elements as OSR as possible, but then pervert them in some way. Make it something a little bit stranger. Just make it, odd. I want to take the basic concepts and then roll with it however I want to do that, because I'm an internet schizophrenic and I can do whatever I want. God, it hurts being this amazing. Delicious. Now, I have a few ideas. I have no setting. I have no really idea. The only thing I know is that the name was cool. Legitimately, that was all I was going with Zombies and Ziggurats. Hey, I like the name. I think the name is cool. In case you want to know, is there anything deeper to this? Is there anything cooler or anything more interesting? The answer is no, there isn't. It's just me saying it's zombies and ziggurats because I think that sounded cool. But I'm also the one wanting to go a little deeper. I want to experiment. I want to see something I haven't seen before. Thus, we need to make an OSR game effectively from the ground up. So I'm gonna say the Z word. Zombinos and zigguratos. So, pretty much, I'm not going to start on this game this week. I'm going to start on it probably when the New Year's rolls around. One of the big things I need to answer right now. Actually, generally speaking, we need to answer 3 questions this stream. Let's be conservative with ourselves. We need to answer 3 questions. Hey, First question. Question 1. Question 1. What is Z&Z? Very important. What is this game? What are we going to be doing with it? Question 2. Question 2. What system? What system is Z&Z? I don't know yet. I kinda have a 2d10 plus versus TN system over here, but maybe I want to change that. And I think another very important question is, what is the gimmick of Z&Z? What do I mean by gimmick? What's the thing? What's the binding factor? Because I can just say, it's a dungeon crawler and you're going to go dungeon delving. Woo! Dungeon. Woo! Going down here. Gonna bonk some enemies and then I'm gonna die. But I am one to always experiment. I want to learn more. I want to go deeper. Down to the dungeon depths. You could say the darkest dungeon even. How am I going to do this, though? No fucking clue. That's what we need to answer today. I think the first, most important question we need to ask is, what is Z&Z? We know for a fact it's going to be not OSR. It's not going to be a strict OSR game. Nor new SR. What do I mean by new SR? New SR is kind of like this phenomenon with things like such as Morkborg, which is taking the aesthetics and clearly just not being that. But that also includes some of the mechanics. Because Morkborg is a D20 game. It is. It's not a very good D20 game, but pretty much it takes too much out. So what do we do to make the game interesting? What is Z&Z? Now, I have a few ideas. My most basic concept, kind of that was in my brain space, my mind a little bit, my almonds, as my friends keep getting very annoyed I keep saying, but I find it very funny, is kind of this idea, which is like, how do I want to, like, leveling. Leveling is a real thing in setting. Like, you leveling up is you actually, like, honest to God, you are leveling up. You have grown more powerful because you're doing a thing. Which I think that's going to be a very core idea of it, which is going to be, it's the, dungeon delving is going to be an important factor of it. Arguably, the main point. Because I do technically have an OSR adjacent game, not DeepL, I don't need you yet. I do have a adjacent game, you could say, most notably Fear and Hunger Forgotten Chronicles. Fear and Hunger is technically, if you want to make a very broad statement, is technically an OSR game. Probably one of the first and only games I've ever written when I deliberately went out of my way to do such. And it's a D20 game, pretty standard one at that. I made it a little bit strange by virtue of just what I decided to add in more than anything, how I decided to approach some of it to make it as strange and alien as possible. Most notably, the classes having a fear and love rating, with your fears being your main stats and your loves being more of your save abilities. I thought it was interesting. I tried to emulate more of the I tried to emulate more of Fear and Hunger's ideas and concepts a little bit more, because I thought that would be most appropriate, because I think that's interesting. If voting goes well, we may be able to get something new in this one. But I also went a very big deep. I also went pretty deep in the idea of, hey, your head, your body parts can get pretty fucking. You can get pretty fucked up. You're like, hey, I have I can get my arm taken off. But I don't think this is the right way of approaching this. I don't want. If Fear and Hunger was a game about deprivation and dying slowly in a dungeon that you clearly shouldn't be in, I want to give this a little bit different of a. How do I want to word this? I want to give this a little bit more personality in a way. I want to give it a little bit more a beat to it. I don't know how to do this though. One thing I love about D&D is the HP bloat means that any unit level 12 barbarian will take over a minute to execute by chopping his neck with an axe. Being real and setting is interesting to me. Not necessarily that, but it's kind of like one of the ideas like I was having in the kind of the original pitch, you could say. It's what you are going into these dungeons is you need to consume literally the flesh of a dead god, and you are going down into these dungeons, these ziggurats, you could say, to find divine meat to get stronger. Because this is the way you actually improve yourself, is by feasting on the flesh of a dead god. Which I wanted to have kind of that idea of, hey, we have enough flesh to go around for 3 people. There are 4 of us. Who gets to eat? Who feasts tonight and who does not? Maybe you only have 1 piece, and I wanted that to be kind of an idea, being like the acquisition of this level up material being something very, very intoxicating. And I thought that would be kind of an interesting idea. Mostly because I can do that, but it was also like, maybe I don't want to go that angle. God, I need to fix this fucking game up. Holy shit, it's so bad. Like, you have that, and I guess you could... The only other thing that I can really draw upon was, what was it? Darker and Darker game. Yeah, Dark and Darker, that was it. I played a lot of Dark and Darker recently. Me and my friends invested into it. Not invested necessarily, we just got into the playtest, and we played a shit ton of this game. I would say if you want one of the, if not the most accurate OSR, dungeon crawler experiences, it's this fucking game. It's you take the role of a bunch of adventurers and you go down into a dungeon with other adventurers who also want to kill you. It's effectively fantasy escape from Tarkov, but I think the ideas worth it was pretty interesting. I enjoyed the concepts. I even enjoyed playing it, which is a bit odd for me when it comes to first-person games, most notably one with kind of like permadeath in. Normally, this wouldn't be my thing, but something about it spoke to me in a way. And something about it said, hey, you're enjoying this more than you should. Like, why am I enjoying this? It's like, because there was that tension, there was that threat of other people, the idea of other adventurers, which kind of fed into another idea I have, which was the idea of you are not unique. Being an adventurer doesn't necessarily mean you are that you're this special God-chosen individual who's special, cool, and unique. You're just a dude. And being an adventurer does kind of put you in your own world, kind of in a way. You are effectively professional guys who do things for reasons. You're professional murderers. You're professional bastards, effectively. I thought that kind of gave it a little bit more of an interesting pitch to it. Which is, rather than being, I'm heroic adventurers here to save the day, it's like, I am a legitimate, just schizophrenic, effectively. I am just a random dude who's just taken on this role to eat the flesh of God because I'm this guy. I thought that would be an interesting idea a little bit more, because it kind of puts the expendability of characters in perspective a bit more. You aren't unique, you aren't special, you are somebody who is undertaking a, frankly, insane quest because you want to live forever, because you can do that if you eat enough flesh of dead gods. I don't really know about this, though. This is just an idea I got when playing Dark and Darker, because I kind of liked that game. And if there was a playtest going, I would probably play it on stream, but there isn't a playtest going anymore, and that makes me sad. I kept thinking, though, like, what am I really, like, what, I sat back, I'm like, okay, what am I really looking at here? Like, what do I really want to do? What's the thing? What's the thing that drives me? What's the idea? What's going to be the setting more than anything? Kind of not necessarily the setting, but kind of the pitch. I don't know. And I think that's the part that's been driving me a little bit more nuts than anything. It's like, what is this? What am I thinking of here? What am I, in my brain case of mine, actually thinking? The answer is, I don't know. I'm kind of lost and confused on this game a little bit, because Crisis Center, I ended up getting like a fairly, like, I wouldn't say good, but fairly, like, okay, Shin Megami Tensei, except you're not the chosen one, you're a bunch of random fucks. Cool, alright, I can work with this. This one is like just OSR, because like Lamentations doesn't really have a setting. OSR games usually don't have like very strict settings, and if they do have a strict setting, it's pretty open. So it's like, okay, maybe I want to have a little bit more of a deeper idea. So I'm like, what do I do with that? Like, what's the plan here? And I don't know. So I'm just going around. Like, let's think, like, OSR, let's just do OSR games. Like, what kind of Marky Barky, like, God, I love it. It's great. What does Wikipedia say? Dungeons and Dragons retro clones. Hell yeah. Osric. Old school reference and index. Cool. Labyrinth Lord. Oh boy. Woo. Hell yeah. Swords and Wizardry. Dark Dungeons, Mazes and Perils. Because, like, you have, like, the idea of these, like, retro clones, right? Like, you get kind of, like, the three genders of OSR. You get the, like, the strict retro clones. Like, then you get, like, the, you know, kind of the OSR, like, I'd say, like, main branch, which would be, like, we're taking it, but we're doing something very different. Then you have, like, the new SR branch, which is, like, we're doing something very different, but just kind of using it as, like, a basic idea. But, like, let's see. Yeah, a lot of these are pretty recent, too. What am I looking for here? Because the thing is, you can go with a few different angles here. That's the beautiful thing. You can go with different angles. Because on one hand, you can go with the idea of, let's say, strict mud, and you can go strict mud and blood. If you go with the idea of mud and blood, it's like, yeah, characters are fragile. Characters are fragile, but the rewards are great. All right. If you go a little bit more like loosey-goosey on it, like a little bit more like you're kind of there, you could make characters more, like, robust, if that makes sense. Like, you are kind of heroic. It's the problem being is you're heroic, but you may have to temper it a little. But what do you do in that? What's the plan? What's the idea? What am I looking at here? And if you guys have any suggestions, feel free to tell me, because I'm kind of flying blind here a little bit. It's... one idea entirely would be go down, like, it's going to sound kind of funny, what you can effectively do is we can do something like just strictly like mud and blood, and make that kind of like the core, like you can say kind of like a core tenet. But is this a core tenet? I don't know. That's the beautiful thing. I really don't know what I'm planning on doing here. Because let's think. We know two things. You know, let's even scrap this last bit. What do we know that I want to do? We know for a fact dungeon delving is important. We know that, you know, option, you know, fucking rule zero, dungeon delving. Because that's important. We want dungeon. But why are we dungeon delving? But what? To get stuff. Hmm. When was the last time I played a, like, honest to God? Let's think. Like, let's actually look at, like, the last fantasy game I haven't made a fantasy game in kind of forever. I think that's one of the issues, too, is that, like, if you really look, I don't make that many fantasy games because people don't ask for fantasy stuff. That's always been one kind of funny thing for me, is that people don't usually ask for fantasy games. People are like, we want more modern stuff. We want more, you know, more abstract, like, sci-fi things. We want just giant fucking mechs. When was the last time I really did a... Let's see. Anthrodesis Dissonance. I guess Danmaku Rhapsody. I guess that would work. I mean, I would say, like, aesthetically, like, let's think of, like, aesthetics. Cool, we like, what's the look? Because we can go down, if we want to do really curse, what we could do is, how do we want to do it? We can do a Chinese sword world, effectively. Which would be literally down the idea of, it's zombies and ziggurats, just me, like, mimicking it, and just me doing something completely fucking different. However, Sword World exists and has a very unique flavor to it, and I don't think that would be the right option. So we want to keep it. Well, I mean, let's be thinking about this. Like, maybe we don't even go with something like Western fantasy. I guess we can go with more like if I want to be cool, we can do Middle Eastern fantasy. Simply because that's just not really a thing, but I would also have to study up on, you know, Middle Eastern fantasy a little bit, because, like, we do, like, Middle Eastern fantasy. Like what do we have here? What are the... We got a lot of D&D art, and we got that's Aladdin. That's just... This is, Good start, everybody. Good start. Like, Middle Eastern fantasy. There's gotta be something here, right? The City of Brass. All by the literal same thing. S.A. 13th century con artist, and she enjoys harking. Looks like a... What? Who are you? Let's think. It's, make a wild bet and make sure that you probably live in... That's just the Middle East. That's just the Middle East. Okay, no, we don't want just the Middle East. What am I? This is Arabian Fantasy. Arabian Nights Space 2 to 4 member special. Any Arabic novel? Arabian Nights is an Arabian fantasy novel that has low ratings. There are Arabic novels I haven't read, but trilogy of books, all been small research in Arabic science fiction. Crescent Moon by Saladin Ahmed, American of Arab descent. Oh. Outer Blitz might help. Some good recommendation. Fantasy, be more literary fantasy, and then epic fantasy. There it is. This. Emirati science fiction on Nora Al-Noman. Or the Western Sense, or even 1001 Nights style. Here's of Islam Idris. I can see young adult, so it's more like science fiction stuff. I can see that. I can see science fiction popular. The Quran. How can I forget the Quran? Like, it's... What did I miss? Is talking about dead gods coming back to the Middle East. Yeah, I'm trying to find the basis of zombies and ziggurats, and I'm like, I'm trying to think of like what would be an ideal world for this. What would be an ideal thing in general? Because it's not like I can just say, oh well, here it is. It's just it in void. It needs a grounding. It needs an idea. And that grounding and that idea is going to be important, because if without it, it's not going to work. I do have, though, like let's just not beat around the bush. We are going to be explicitly fantasy. Explicitly fantasy. But without the out of place future tech. I don't know. Like, would that even work? I mean, Sinbad, like, I remember the movie being fun. I don't really actually, I haven't actually read that much of the 1001 Nights. I haven't read that much of it, just because it's just not really been not my thing. So let's think. What else can we really work off here? Got Easter... Ziggurats. Where do ziggurats come from? Yeah, and Sinbad is basically a bunch of guy does stuff. Yeah. Ziggurats. Ziggurats are cool. Where do ziggurats come from? Ancient Mesopotamia. Maybe we go back in time a little bit. Maybe not medieval fantasy, maybe something a little bit longer ago. Like, let's think. Do drive-through. Drive-through might have what I'm looking for. Drive-through. Tell me what I'm looking for right now. Right this second. I want to find OSR. Where is Lost Fantasy? Caves of Cock. Lamentation. Lamentation of the Gingerbread Princess. Hee hee hoo hoo ha ha hee hee hoo hoo. Old school revival. Okay. What are we looking at here? Maybe we go back in time. Stone Age fantasy or cowardice. Stone Age. I think Stone Age is like a little bit too far. I think the issue with Stone Age is that you lose out a lot on equipment. And I think that's going to be an important aspect of this, simply due to the fact of, I don't want characters to be like super impressive in that this isn't an OSR game. Drive-through, that's not an OSR, and you know that. World Without Numbers, like, start that number. DM yourself, I don't know why that's here. Zweihander, don't worry, I'm OSR. You're not. You've never been. You have never been OSR. Fucking. Maybe, let's think. Would be Iron Age OSR game. Adventure for it. Okay, just an adventure for Iron Age. Like historical OSR. Okay, historical OSR. All right. We game it. Sword and Caravan. All right, Sword and Caravan. Send the East know the Silk Road. Historically accurate. Okay, we're not really going historically accurate, but cool. Good idea. Forbidden Palm. The Lion and Dragon. I'm assuming that's going to be more along the lines of that. Let's see. Solar Blades and Cosmic Spells. Cathorkborg. Oh, wow. I love fucking Morkborg. Morkborg. We love Morkborg. We love Morkborg. I love Morkborg. You love Morkborg. I love Morkborg. Hey, hey, hoo, hoo, ha, ha. Yeah, so this would be Bronze Age. Mesopotamia. So this would be... Let's think. If we go to the idea of maybe we set it free, we go back in time a little bit. I mean, let's think. So we would do, let's do Bronze Age. We do Bronze Age. Oh, let's go all the way down. We do... If we do the ages... No. Technological eras. Again, if we keep it back, I mean, can we even go to like the Copper Age? The Copper Age. So that wouldn't really be it. We need to stick it. It would be the Bronze Age or Iron Age. We do like the Aegean stuff, like even like you said, like Mesopotamia. So if we do like Mesopotamia, if we do Mesopotamia, we do. So this would be late Bronze Age collapse. The Kassites of Babylon. Yeah, you can do something like that. If we go along with the idea of like, we can do something along the lines of like this, like Bronze Age, like I can't believe it's not Mesopotamia. We could do that. That's an option. Like let's think. Is there anything other, like maybe there's a different period we can kind of draw from. Maybe there's a different thing that we can think of that would be interesting to touch on. What would be a unique and a unique thing that we've never seen before, never talked about? You can just say fuck it and go up to like ancient Egypt. Like more, it would be more like no. Technically, if we want to be dangerous, we can just say the Stone Age, but that would be its own. That would be a first. It would be a first, but it would probably be the only. Probably the only for good reason. Like. Yeah, again, there are others in there. Like, this is just old school essentials. Same idea. The idea stands. Thinky, brain no work, why? So, or we go with something a little bit more aggressive, maybe? No, like, hey, I'm all for it at this point. Alternatively, let's actually check. Do we have anything to work with here? We could go along the idea that, like, it's just explicitly the idea of like, quite literally, you are playing the undead, like, with the idea being like you were trying to effectively, you were trying to find things of, you know, in, you know, the fucking underworld or whatever, with the explicit point of getting, of like returning to life or something similar to that. It could work. That could be an interesting idea. Kind of play on the words a little bit. It'd be zombies and ziggurats, but the idea would be more along the lines of less, oh, you're fighting zombies or whatever, be like, no, you are these fucking undead husks trying your best to come back to life. That could be an option. That would be one way to play on it. Or do we want to go with some different direction? We use the idea of you are just the What am I thinking of? What am I? There's got to be an answer. There's got to be a bloody answer. Have the idea of maybe just ziggurat. Tell me more about ziggurats. I built a core of mud brick, baked bricks. It was brick structure, ziggurats of earth. Want we can do something even like post. Kind of like the idea of going post-apocalyptic. Like, we are so far beyond, we're barely, like, there's nothing even, like, remotely human about anything anymore. And the idea would be more along the idea of, you're not going to find a gun anymore. But it's like, the brutalist architecture of yesteryear survives. Thus the idea of the ziggurat. The terrifying, these terrifying central masses that are like, oh, hey, like, we're trying to find something to, like, stabilize our bodies to make sure that we don't fucking die. You can just rename it Tiamat without anyone complaining. Yeah, that could also work. Have no fear, everyone. I'm not creatively bankrupt. I'm inspirational. You wouldn't understand. But yeah, no, it'd be the idea of, like, post-apocalypse, being like, effectively, it would be damn near Caves of Cud tier, which is just the idea of, like, we do not understand 95% of what the fuck is going on. Oh. Someone already beat me to it? The fuck is this? It's kind of weird. Oh, it's like a beginner's guide zine. But yeah, no, it'd be effectively like, you're not necessarily mutating. It's kind of like the idea of, like, you need to get you going in to find holy substances is more along the lines of, like, yeah, get the magic fucking serum and stab it into your fucking arm. Because, fun fact, you ain't gonna live if you don't. You are a monstrous, mutant with a Let's think. I guess we can just say fuck it and go, like, strictly just, like, how do I want to word this? Just, I wouldn't say gonzo fantasy, but, like, just insanity fantasy. Kind of like, yeah, of course there's all this shit kind of smashed together with no sense of right or wrong, with the idea being more of like it's kind of cringe a little, but kind of the idea of being like, this is kind of a post-ironic idea of the entire thing. Like, yeah, of course we're going into dungeons to do things, because that's what we do. Playing on more of the idea of being this is a funny thing to do because it's funny, because we are in an OSR game, so by virtue of being in an OSR game, we must, partake in the dungeon, because the dungeon is the dungeon. Alternatively, that does kind of bring up a valid issue. We can do something more along the idea of, I don't really have a better way to word this, but kind of like a mega dungeon. Like, the entire idea is that the game is built around the ziggurat. What is the ziggurat? It is this massive fuck-off dungeon that a bunch of, adventurers and stuff have come together, and that's where they live now. It's a city now. It's a city based off the dungeon economy. We could kind of play on that idea a little bit more, being like, yes, you go down there to kill things, to loot, and then you go back up, because it's this ever-changing nightmare dungeon that the deeper you go, the more shit's going wrong. Isn't that the plot of Magi? Never watched it. Fun fact, yeah, never watched that. But it'd be kind of more along the idea, I wouldn't say necessarily Diablo. There was a little bit, I would say there would be a little bit of dungeon meshy in there. That'd be the thing I'd compare it most to. It would be more along the idea of, this is an entire city, this is an entire, arguably civilized, section of land dedicated to the, not necessarily the conquering, but the exploitation, the, greed, the power of this dungeon and how we go in there, we loot shit, and then we come out and we make a lot of fucking money selling shit that this dungeon naturally produces. We go to the ziggurat to find what's shit in the ziggurat, and we come back. The idea being less about the dungeon crawling and more about what happens after the dungeon crawl. So it's kind of that, do you push your luck or do you pull back and try to, live another day? The idea of like growing in power being more linked to the idea of finding the right stuff. Hey, you found the good shit, and because you found the good shit, you're able to pull back out. It's like, okay, we found we found like an artifact, and because we found an artifact, we're all gaining in power. The problem being, we found an artifact and now everybody's kind of gunning for our ass a little bit. And there would be people who are explicitly higher level than you because they found more artifacts and they found more shit that just makes them stronger by virtue of existing. That could be an interesting thing. Ooh, give me one moment. All right. Okay. Bronze Age, I can't believe it's not Mesopotamia. Undead OSR. Post-apocalyptic RPG. Pretty much, I would say, I would almost call it like mutant OSR. Like, it would be like a fantasy mutant OSR. Fantasy mutant OSR. Insanity fantasy. The entire, with the kind of it being the post-ironic joke idea of you are in an OSR setting, and by virtue of being in an OSR setting, you must go down into the dungeon, and you must do this. You are compelled to do this. But then we have the Mega Dungeon Economy OSR game, which would be about making a Mega Dungeon and just fucking around with that. Let's think. Is there anything else we can really work with here? What am I thinking of? What's appealing to me? Because if we Google Dungeon Economy, yeah, the dungeon-based economy. If we go, like... Hmm. DM is Sorcerer King, and the players are as undead zombie soldiers. And it kind of feeds into the undead OSR thing. Kind of being more along the idea of, like, you are explicitly playing, like, oh, the thing is there is that your explicit idea would be a lot different. It would be, because it's not one of those things like, oh, we're going into the dungeon because we need, like, we're fighting and we have to worry about our food and our rations. Like, yeah, you don't eat. You don't breathe, technically. You are a undead creature. You are a barely living entity. And your sentience is limited, your ideas are very fragile. It's like, yeah, I'm a fucking, I am a skeleton. I don't have flesh. Like, there's nothing there, guys. With that being kind of like the explicit issues going on, is like, yeah, no dungeon delving, kind of in reverse almost, of like, yeah, you're trying to get the fuck out, but you have to kind of fight your way through. Like, let's think, is there anything I'm looking for? Yeah. See, I have actually learned recently there is 05R BTRPG. Like, this is like the sorry, 05R, which is like, oh hey, we're totally not 5th edition, but we're totally just 5th edition. 5th edition OSR, which I find to be fucking funny, and I hate it. I hate every second of it, and I wish for everyone to be in pain. I wish for everybody to be in pain who thought this was a good idea. What am I thinking of? 05R is the embodiment of 5e sperm disorder. Yeah. It's a little odd, if I do say so myself, but hey, what do I know? I'm just an anonymous internet schizophrenic, and I can't say anything bad because I'm a bad person, because I don't like 5e very much. That makes me a bad person. I'm bad. Bad to the bone. You could go down this angle, like the idea being explicitly the idea of, like, you are in a zombie apocalypse effectively, and you must now fight your way through. There is no strict dungeon delving, but like the dungeon is getting to the next town, because you're just a bunch of fucking, a bunch of fuckwits. That's not a great idea, but it's an idea. It's definitely an idea. See, if we want to be a little bit, a little bit funny. Whoops, only clerics OSR. Whoops, only clerics. Just make the entire game built around the idea that you are the perfect enemy of the undead, but you are also kind of more contracted by the Vatican to do shit. It's kind of like you are part of the fantasy Vatican, And like your job is, you have a bunch of healing supplies, you have a bunch of things, but it's like, yeah, we are all legitimate clerics of the faith. And as clerics of the faith, we have our, you have duties, you are a holy man. And by virtue of being a holy man, you have the responsibilities of being clerics. You have the responsibilities of clearing out the undead. The undead are an issue, but the problem is, this would be the thing here, is that you are explicitly not going in for money or anything like that. You are going in there to clear out the undead. You have a very specific job. And it would be like, oh yeah, you're with other adventurers. There are other adventurers out there. They aren't part of the faith, though. There might be members of the faith among them, but you are contracted from the faith. We are here because there are zombies, and we need to deal with the zombies. And we could kind of put that into the idea of, like, leveling is a real thing and setting with the idea of being like, hey, you need a blessing. That is how you grow in power. You get blessings from the gods. As clerics, you have pretty much first dibs. Like, yeah, but you can also give this is the leveling fucking, effectively the unlocking your potential. You have that as a ritual. That's a thing you can do. If this person has amassed as much experience or whatever, you can convert it all into raw power. They have the scent of death around them. You can convert that into power. The problem being is you have a weird position in society. You aren't going in there for money and wealth and anything like that. You're going in there because, again, there are zombies, there are problems. And I could probably, that would be awesome. That would be kind of a weird setting. Whoops, only clerics. They wouldn't, like, the thing, if I were to do this, you would not necessarily be just clerics. It would be like, you're playing paladins, you're playing inquisitors, you're all explicitly clerical in nature, but none of you're not going to be playing, like, cleric this, cleric that. It's going to be, you're playing a fighter, but you are contracted by the literal faith and you have cleric abilities. That's your point. That's the entire point, arguably. You're supposed to be holy men. You're supposed to be. They're like, hey, I am literally here to heal. Clerical error, god damn it. I should ban you for that one. I should ban you. Yeah, that's one option. Whoops, only clerics. See, you can technically do like whoops only class. If you were to, you can probably do like only you do like whoops only magicians and like whoops only fighters or whoops only rogues. Actually, I wouldn't want to do rogues necessarily. Rogues wouldn't be as interesting. I demand a clerical error. Again, if I were to do something like that, it would be like, clerical error is like what the Inquisitor, the rogue class would be doing. Being like, yeah, you filed shit wrong, and you explicitly filed shit wrong. And that means like, hey, after you clear out a place, you can demand from the church to get some other things. Hey, don't worry guys, we're totally going to be used. Oh, trust me, we're not just using AD&D rules, because we're going to be evil and we're going to change things as far as possible we're going to stretch it as fast and as hard as possible. Yeah, if I were to do the whoops only clerics, the idea would probably be like, you are part of like a really weird faith. A faith that is not the main faith. That would be one thing about this one that I would do. Like, it's like not the primary faith. It's using a little bit of Warhammer Fantasy, a little bit of Warhammer Fantasy is that you would be yeah. You would be effectively belonging to more. which is one of the gods in Warhammer Fantasy, which is the god of the dead. He's there to, he fucking despises the undead, and if you are undead, he wants you dead. But he's not one of the main faiths. He's kind of like a sub-faith of Sigmar, which is like, yeah, we worship fucking Sigmar. Mor is pretty cool too, like we pay him credence. But it would be kind of that, playing off of that, being like, you aren't part of the cool one. You're not sword Catholics. You are explicitly not a I wouldn't even say like respected faith. You're a mandatory faith nobody likes having around because you're scary. You're the fucking guys who get called in when nobody wants to do their job and kill some undead, or when things got really bad. You scary fuckers show up, you kill a bunch of undead, you leave. Good guy, Hilden. Yeah. To a degree, it would be, again, it would be, I would probably make it like, you're a weird, off-kilter, like, cult thing that people are very much not a fan of. And, like, you come into it, you come into the land, people are a little bit wary of you. You're kind of like, again, you would be pretty much members of a shitty cult based entirely around the idea of, hey, we're doing this we're doing this because this is our job. You aren't sword Catholics. You aren't part of the main faiths. You're a weird cult that people are afraid of. And you showing up immediately kind of calls you into question a little bit. You are spooky, and people are scared of you. That would be the idea there. Whoops-only fighters would quite literally be kind of more, I wouldn't say a parody game, but whoops-only fighters would be more along the line like magic is dead, you have to end it. Like, yeah, you guys are explicitly, magic is fucking scary. The wizards are terrifying. Go in there and kill things because you aren't wizards. You're a bunch of fighters. Honestly, that could work. Yeah, whoops only barbarians. Yeah, it's like whoops only barbarians. Yeah, kind of going off that idea, that could work pretty. Actually, that works a lot better actually. Because if we go under this idea, would be how do I want to word this? Yeah, fuck magic, fuck the gods, praise Crom. Yeah, me smashy glowy thing. Yeah, just like, you are all stupid motherfuckers. You don't understand really, but you explicitly know you gotta kill. With this one, we could probably actually pull this into a different, like, kind of a way further past setting, which is like, yeah, you're being brought in to do things because, the wizard kings or whatever really don't like you guys, but you do deal with problems very efficiently. Oh no, look everybody, it's a giant monster, we'll send the barbarians after them. Though that might be treading on though that might be treading on Jort's territory a little bit, and he may not appreciate that. Look, a 6 mean you can read. Roll a 6. Congratulations. You understand the language. Oh god. O's. Okay. Alright. So, zombie apocalypse OS are more along the lines of like, And I'm not feeling it at all. This one would be more along the idea of like, you are more, it's more explicitly about being adventurers going down in there with the intent of coming back up with you know, with gold and glory. I would probably make it so you have a very strict, it would be economy. I would say this would be space autism right here. This would be space autism. It would be, I would say it would be a combination of space and weight. That would be a big factor in this one, which is how much are you willing to spend to go down? How much do you think you'll be coming back up with? And can you carry everything? Yeah, you can try to bring that giant chest of money with you, but that is going to require 2 fucking people with nothing else going, and you still have to climb the fuck back up in this ever-shifting nightmare dungeon. So it's like, okay, so a game where Tensor's floating disk is useful, and it would be something like that, being like, yeah, the wizard has, you know, a wizard class has the ability to cast something like Tensor's floating disk. The unfortunate problem is the wizard has to cast Tensor's floating fucking disc, because it's like, oh, cool. I've cast this ability. Cool. Okay, we can carry all this. Okay, wizard, we need you to cast a spell. I can't. What do you mean you can't? I'm too busy focusing on this. Damn. I would probably restrict wizards down very hard, or I would make it so they can't, like, the idea being more, you can't, as a wizard, you're not going to be recovering spell slots by resting. You're going to be recovering spell slots or whatever by, like, you have to use an item of some kind. It's like, yeah, sorry, all magic is powered by crystal, like literally Joe crystals or whatever. So it's like, yeah, you have to break one of these things to get all your fucking magic back. The problem being, you're going to have to break a very limited resource to get all your fucking magic back. So make these restricted enough to make them sunbathe for a day. Yeah, all magic is photosynthesis. So yeah, that's an idea. Insanity fantasy would be more along the like the meta kind of like a meta joke about adventuring, with the idea being like you have a Dissonance disorder, you have a thing mean you have to adventure. This is, you are compelled to get gold, to get power, to get money, because that is what feeds you. You know, there you would probably wizards are plant people. See, if I want to be really grim about it, I could just make them the Floria from Floria, which is just the idea of being like, yeah, anyone can become a wizard. The only problem is you need to have something grow inside of you. You're like, yeah, here, drink this magic plant extract. Don't worry, you'll get wizard powers. The problem is you now have to take care of a literal, like, living plant being inside of your body that is slowly eating you from the inside out. However, you get fucking magic. Cool. Hopefully you photosynthesize, because it's gonna get sad if you don't. So yeah, the insanity fantasy, I would either go down the fact that you are, as an adventurer, you pretty much are designed to do that. It's like you are compelled to adventure because that's who you are. You are legitimately have a disease, or like you have a thing, meaning you must adventure and you must not keep any of your money. That's it would be a little bit weird, and I don't know how I would do it. But it's there, it's an option. To eat all their gold, like what, they're fucking all dragons. That could be kind of funny. Eat the gold. Yeah, that's how you level up. Gold literally is experience points. Hopefully you got the sauce prepared, because we're going to have to eat some fucking money. Yeah, I cast fire and area keyword roll on the magic with those keywords. See if you cast fireball, flamethrower, flame whip. Yeah, that could be an idea. I don't really know. Again, I'm kind of having to determine like what the baseline is even going to be yet, because I don't have a baseline yet. That isn't a thing yet. I'm not even thinking about magic yet. That's out there still. That is over there. So we can do, if we go around the fantasy mutant or OSR, it would literally be, you know, leveling up. Leveling up is bad. Leveling up is, you know, quote bad. With the idea being more like you're going to get things that are on your, like, you are deliberately, when you level up, it's technically, yeah, you just kind of waited around and you've leveled up and you just get a new mutation. That sounds like that sounds fucking terrible to write, however, because I'm going to have to make mutation tables. A lot of mutation tables. I don't want to write mutation tables unless I go down a completely different angle with it. But that would be its own thing. I mean, I guess I could just steal the Caves of Cud one. I guess that would be an option, but I still need to, like, things for... Yeah, maybe not you. Undead OSR would literally be like, this would be probably, like, the most traditional. But, you know, it's traditional, but Lamau, you are undead. You are an undead creature. You don't need to eat, you don't need to breathe, you are resistant to things like poison or any of that bullshit. The problem being, you are a undead creature that physically is difficult to kill, but you are still very, still reliant on something. This one would need to be like, you are very reliant on a factor that keeps you alive. You are on a time limit. Every time you consume a thing to get this, you're gonna need to go faster. The ziggurat Mesopotamian aesthetic, you go with the Othis thing and make the Sorcerer King's dragon, so half dragon players would be sort of bastard kids. That could work. I mean, I guess if you want to do something like that, like you can go, we can kind of combine this with the, you know, the idea of the insanity with the kind of more the Bronze Age one. Bronze Age would be like strict traditional, but very mystic. Be like, yeah, you are, you know, former soldiers of this conquering king. You've entered into this land. You've burnt everything down. You are effectively the sea people. And as the sea people, you've entered in, you've conquered, and you're like, we're gonna start looting shit because we're a bunch of soldiers, because we can do this. I guess you can kind of combine the idea of the insanity fantasy with the Bronze Age stuff, which is like, as the insanity fantasy, because you are these half-dragon individuals, you go down into these tombs and shit to find gold because you need to eat. You are starving to death and you are very fucking hungry. And that's how you level up, which is just eat your fucking money, eat your paycheck, because that's all you can eat. Everything else just doesn't do it for you as well as just munching on some pure grain fucking gold. Be a little bit odd, but maybe I can work that in. I would say we could probably combine these two together, which would be more along the idea of being like, you are literally like this foreign fucking religion. You are effectively a barbarian, scary religion out of nowhere, being like, hey, we heard you have an undead problem. Yeah, we got we're gonna fucking deal with your undead problem. You're gonna pay us afterwards, right? We don't really want to, shame. What a shame. Like, alright. We got some ideas here. And you know what? I'm gonna mull on them. And then on Friday, we get to do more of them. Yay, good job, team. Yeah, probably I'm just gonna sit on these for a little bit. Yeah, we didn't get anything done today, but we kind of... It seems a little bit specific. I don't know how I would do the classes then. That's the issue. On Friday, we'll hammer out the details, but I would make a decision by that point. I think I know what I might want to do. It's just kind of formalizing it at this point. There's a couple ideas what we could do, a couple ideas that may work, and a couple ideas that won't work. I don't know. Because, like, we could... If we do this, this is its own thing. This could be its own thing entirely. This is kind of like, we can kind of combine the, like, these two ideas together, being like, yeah, you are the sea people. You have quite literally entered in, and you are the problem now. You know, it's like you are the sea people. The dragons have shown up. They have burnt out the old people of these civilizations. You've committed mass genocide effectively. You are horrible human beings. And it's like, oh, well, fuck. Like, you are kind of this culture that have like, yeah, here's these dragon gods that we worship. They want money, because not because it's money, but because we eat it and we're all very hungry. So it's kind of like, yeah, we're kind of going into these like, you've murdered this culture. They're all dead. And it's like, what happens now? You are the sea people. You have arrived. You have issued in the Bronze Age collapse. The issue now is you now get to loot the shit out of everything you see because that's fun. You are the sea people. Like, the mega dungeon economy, like, if we want to be a little bit, enter stream, you have genocided the... Yes, this is more. No. We were, as you can see down here, we were thinking about doing whoops only cleric OSR. Yeah, the ideas we have so far for this OSR project is Bronze Age. I can't believe it's not Mesopotamia. The insanity in fantasy, just being OSR, just except everybody is dead. The mega dungeon economy OSR, which isn't about the dungeon necessarily, it's about the economy, because I can do that. We also have whoops only clerics, where everybody is effectively a priest of more. We also have whoops only barbarians. No magic, only clerics. Yeah, it would legitimately be, you are clerics of this god, and you ask God for your blessings, and these blessings may or may not be valuable to you. But you are like going to be like, yo, God, I need some help here to drive off the undead. And he's like, sure. Yo, you are my chosen. I would probably do something like a prayer result table in that regard, being like, yeah, pray to your fucking God, and like maybe something will happen. That would be even funnier if we kind of combine it. If we literally go with the barbarian clerics, that would be, you know what the worst part would be? See, though, if we want to combine the two, you would all be effectively clerics of Hamukt. Let me see if I can find a good image of Hamukt. There we go. Hamukt is one of the gods of Glorantha, specifically the Orlanthi people. Hamukt is scary. You wanna know why Hamukt's scary? Because he fucking despises chaos and he despises the undead. To the point where he'll kill his own people to kill chaos. He is literally Jack. To the point in one of his hero quests, he witnesses one of his fucking, like, he's like, oh man, I gotta fucking stab someone because he's working with chaos. Damn, what a only clerics in the Bronze Age who are also zombies. That would be an interesting one. I don't think it's going to work for this game, though. Would be interesting, though. Yeah, it's like, the idea would be like, you are these barbarian clerics of a god that is, like, the more likely that this, like, Hamuk does not give a fuck. You gotta remember this. Like, Hamuk is the kind of god that shows, like, that shows up, kicks down the door, being like, is chaos here? And they're like, yeah, we got a little bit of chaos. I'm gonna fucking kill it. And then he rushes at them and kills it. One of the scariest entities of Hamuk, actually, are the fucking ducks, because the ducks of Dragon Pass actually worship Hamuk, because I believe the lore was like Hamuk came to one of them because they killed a chaos entity. He's like, hey, I'm going to bless you and your people because you fucking hate chaos more than I do sometimes. Yeah, these guys are all just death worshippers. It's very very hardcore, and we don't trust trolls, we don't trust chaos. We kill people who worship chaos. Isn't that right, Jack? We kill people who worship chaos. You build infinite prayers per day, but the more you use, the more you fail to follow your god strictures, and the higher chance your god smites you. That could be an interesting idea. More along the idea of like you're trying to manage what your god wants versus manage what you need. It's like, yeah, we literally worship an insane fucking god that hates that hates all undead things. And everyone likes us the fact that we hate the undead, but we also kind of hate the living as well. We're all effectively death worshippers. And we just really hate things that aren't dead. Like, oh shit, like, maybe you guys aren't nice. Like, maybe you guys are scary. Pretty much like all three of even just going down and being like, you are all literally champions of more. You have to manage the fact that you are champions of more, or whatever god that is. Ate chaos, ate diamonds, ate undead, not racist, just don't like them. Love me death, love me fighting, love me sword, simple as. You know how it goes. Yeah, I would say probably whoops only clerics is strong. Like, this is a strong idea. We can go with this on different angles, even if we don't put in the barbarian aspect. Even if we just make you are just clerics of, like, you are part of a very organized religion, you just really hate undead, and everyone's kind of scared of you because you really hate undead, and you aren't part of the cool sword Catholics, because the sword Catholics are the main religion. Again, it's effectively like, hey, here's Sigmar. You don't worship Sigmar. You worship Sigmar's brother, the guy who, like, manages death. Like, yeah, everyone's like, oh, fuck these guys. Like, oh no. The mega dungeon economy one would be probably the strongest departure from the idea, because it would be effectively 5 torches deep in some regards, but a lot more about how much do I invest in, how much do I invest out, how much do I plan on getting out. Be like, if we overinvest here but we use too much shit, even if we bring out a lot of stuff, we may not be able to break even, and that sucks. We want to break even, obviously, or we want to get more. We want profit. Like, how far are we willing to go down? And it's like, it's more like, how far can you go down versus how far are you more capable of. Undead OSR would be fairly traditional, just with the added issue of being you are dead. If we want to be a little bit wonky about things, what we could do, if we're timing this together correctly, we could do Bronze Age plus undead. Pretty much the idea is your culture is undead. Your culture is undead. You must find life effectively. Like you are explicit nature of God to find the meaning of life because, well, you're dead. So that's kind of the basic idea there. You can do, we can do undead clerics only, which is you are, undead clerics, which would be, yeah, the sea people are coming and you must fight them back with the bones of the ancestors. Yeah, it would be like, yeah, your people have literally risen you from the dead to fight the sea people. You're not quite good at what you do yet, but you're kind of foot soldiers of a culture that is very necromantic or something like that. Like, hey, welcome back to the land of the living. I know you haven't been alive for a couple centuries, but we're kind of being invaded and you said you would help. Help, please. Help. Let's see. Undead plus clerics. Undead only create more undead by killing people. Yeah, it would be literally like, it's kind of one of those things being like, if Britain is ever threatened, King Arthur will rise again, will return from Avalon and will save Britain or whatever. It'd be kind of like that. It would be like, oh, hey, we made a pact with this, we made a pact with our God years and years and years, centuries ago at the beginning of time, being like, hey, if we're ever under explicit threat, we can invoke our one chance and raise all our people up who have died in service into defending our land. Hey, guess what we're doing? We've triggered our one. Yeah, we've triggered our one chance. And because we've triggered our one chance, you are the last hope we have. Legitimate just legions of the undead, and you have to fucking dungeon delve and defeat the sea people. Undead clerics would be, you are... There we go. You are there we go. You're effectively necromantic clerics worshipping / spreading the doctrine of unlife. Like, yeah, you are. Yeah, welcome to being like just an accepted member of the clergy. You're dead. Like, yeah, welcome. We have an entire culture built around the concept of death. So, because it's the concept of death, we can be a little bit. You're a little bit more open about things. Let's see. Bronze Age / plus barbarians. You are the sea people. Fuck shit up. We can do insanity plus clerics, which would be let's see. We can do mega dungeon. Mega dungeon. We could do mega dungeon plus barbarians. So kind of more along the idea of like the mega dungeon would be, you are legitimately just this, you are a fucking underdeveloped, barely Iron Age culture surrounding this dungeon that's like clearly not up to par with you. Like you are not cool enough for this shit. You are not having a good time here. Oops, all clerics. Really, only surprising thing is that it happens super. Whoops, all clerics. Yeah, that's one idea. If we want to combine, let's see, we can combine. Well, obviously we have kind of like this one, which we would just be. This would just be insanity. Insanity plus Bronze Age. Insanity plus Bronze Age, being more along the idea of like you have genocide. You have genocided the old culture. You have genocided the old culture. Loot their dungeons. Loot their dungeons. Kill their ancestors. Appease the dragons. Be like, yeah, you quite literally are like these half dragon bastards who legitimately be like, yeah, no, you eat gold. Like you need to appeal to your dragon god because, you know, that's the shit you do. We want to do some things to do. If we want, we could do mega dungeon plus clerics, which would be, you know, effectively you're playing sword Catholics, which the idea would be, you know, evil fucking dungeon underneath the chapel. Your duty is to clear it the fuck out. Your duty is to ransack it and keep the peace. The idea for that one, the mega dungeon plus clerics, would be you are going underneath to find shit, and every class, quote unquote, would be part of a different denomination. Alternatively, you go, God is dead, go find his corpse and cast Raise Dead. That's another very good option. See, what we could do there is we do kind of more along the idea of being like you are compelled to go invent like insanity plus clerics plus mega dungeon, which would be God is dead, go find his corpse and cast Raise Dead, which would be like you are quite literally compelled to go underneath to find the pieces of this fucking dragon god's, you know, or it wouldn't even be a dragon, just this god's body parts. Being like, hey, we're finding more, you know, pieces of God. We need to put him back together. We're not doing a very good job of this, and other people are trying to come in here, so we're trying to like. It'd be kind of an interesting angle because it'd be like, yeah, you're trying to also keep, you know, the sacred place for you, as well as being like explicitly something that is a little bit evil, a little bit odd. That could work. Let's see. All chapels are built on top of dungeons. You know, that's how they keep the evil and say. Wasn't this a fucking like this was a game, right? Like this was a video game plot. I can't remember what. I can't remember what video. There's a video game that did something like this, and I cannot remember the name of it to save my life. am I thinking of? What am I thinking of? Did I do any, like, maybe there's another... I wonder if there's another factor I could add into this. Add another, like, add another variable. Afterlife is the mega dungeon. That would be completely awful in 1,000 different ways. Amusing, but you know, I'll even add that in there. Afterlife is the mega dungeon. Hey, congratulations! You fought so hard. You fought so well. Bad news, everybody. You fought hard. You fought well. Bad news. Heaven's on fire. We need you to fix it. Let's see. It's like, I guess we could probably try to add in another variable, but what would that variable be? Because we want to break the idea. We want to push the concept of like the idea would be you are desperately trying to you want to push the definition of what an OSR is. How far can you push this and still remain an OSR? Feels like I'm missing something. Like if there's another variable here that I can't quite think of. Because I explicitly want it to be, like, I wouldn't say like super duper high powered or something. I don't really want it to be like insanely powered, you know, or anything like that. I don't think that's appropriate. Versus the God Adventurers. Now I have died Devil's Mega Dungeon. Loot I bring back determines the quality of my afterlife. See, the God of Adventures being like, are you ready for one last adventure? Go find reincarnation or whatever the fuck it would be. Being like, yeah, you want to get stuck? Just like you give up in the Mega Dungeon. See, if I want to be a little bit, actually, you know, let's do a little bit of This is just kind of out of my own morbid curiosity. Souls-like TTRPG. And let's just Google that. Okay, Souls-like TTRPGs. Souls-like OSR. OSR. Collected by Shizuku. Blood Rain. Sword Dream OSR. Wow. Anointed. Game of Memory Discovery. Wandering Swords and Sorcery Souls, World of Ash, Dark Souls Vibes, Dice Souls, Sword and Board, Hack of Lasers and Feelings, Bonfire and Blade. Oh. Rune Cairn, Carry on. Souls like OSR. You've been thrown down a well. The Visitor. Morkborg, we all love Morkborg. All of these are Morkborg, by the way. Almost all of these. I love it. I love Troika. I love the United Nations. High fantasy, low life. Sounds like a weird meta joke. Like every game starts with an OTK and another OSR game as session 0. You have to die before you can start playing. High fantasy, low life. Yeah, that would be actually kind of one of the things I would bake into like a very like kind of a sub factor of this. It would be like, yeah, you are not top of the fucking food chain. You are stupid. You're a bunch of fucking moes. Barely qualified to hold a sword. So I mean, let's do a little. I'm looking for Dark Souls feat. Let's Morkborg, Morkborg, Morkborg. I love Morkborg. It's the greatest game ever made. It's not the best game I've ever made. There's no other game. There's no other game other than Morkborg. Morkborg. We all love fucking Morkborg. It's the only game that ever existed. Morkborg. Morkborg. I'm gonna fucking kill someone. I'm Morkborg. I'm Morkborging. I'm gonna Morkborg. I'm morking. Get back, it's me, I'm morking. It's like morbing, except worse. Feel like I'm missing something. Again, I feel like I'm missing a variable here that could be interesting to tie a couple of these things together. I don't know what that variable would be. I don't know. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna mork. What would be that thing to tie things together? I mean, to really tie things together. Half of me is thinking of like horror, maybe, like just like bring in like a strict horror element. But half of me saying that's not appropriate. That's kind of baked into the idea. That's kind of a default, you could say. What would be Sorcerers of Hyperborea? Yeah, well, there's Hyperborea, because I do know there's people keep like, goodness, people have actually said that I should really go over Hyperborea. Like, it's apparently really good, and people seem to really like this game. I just never see anybody talk about it. It's one of those weird things where people, like, I see one person be like, "Oh my god, it's the greatest thing ever. You should totally play it. Oh my god." But then I don't see anything on it for like forever until as one person's like, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, it's the greatest thing ever." I'm like, I wish I saw something like, I love the artwork. I think the artwork's very very pretty. I do like this kind of comic book style. I mean, I guess there's like Barbarians of like, I do have a strong appreciation for Barbarians of Lemuria. You will never be this cool. You will never be as cool as Barbarians of fucking Lemuria. I love this game. I don't think I've ever gone over Barbarians of Lemuria, like, even as a video or even on like a stream. I should do that one day. Be like, yeah, sorry everybody. You know, there's like a cool thing I planned on working on. Fuck that. We're instead playing Lemuria. We are instead playing Barbarians of Lemuria. We're going over this game now. Fuck you. And then he borged all over. Let's see. Like, it's Sorcerers of Hyperborea. Yeah, no, it looks like it's just kind of Again, like, I'm a strong believer in fucking Barbarians of Lemuria. I love that game. I think any, like, there's always some class that kind of has like this weird gimmick at one point where it's like, yeah, this is fun, but now it's not fun. Like, I remember playing a fucking warlock in 5e. I'm like, I don't enjoy playing warlocks anymore. I don't enjoy playing casters in 5e, to be honest with you. I don't enjoy playing 5e. Like, I take that back. I enjoy playing 5e. I will say this is my I'll say this is my controversial little opinion. I actually like playing 5e when I was with my friends and we were just having a ball. That was fun. I enjoyed playing 5e with friends. Looking back on it now and being like, wow, we barely played 5e. We kind of played our own version of things, and I had a really good fucking DM, and that DM was very talented. And because he was very talented, he made that game a lot more fun than I think it had any right to be. But you know what? I'm gonna call it here. I'm gonna think on it. Think I know what I want to do. Think. Think I know what I want to do. I'm gonna mull it over a bit. I'm gonna think on it, but I'm like 97% sure I know how I'm gonna do it. It's gonna be a little bit weird, but you know what? We strive toward weird. We are weird. I like the idea that I think that is appropriate. So, I'm going to call it there. Thank you all for watching. Nothing really got done today, but we definitely brainstormed, and brainstorming is half the battle. So, thank you all. My name is Notepad Anon. I will see you all on Friday, which we will go over more of the strict mechanics, I think. But I think having a baseline is going to really help establish what we want to do. I think that's going to really make sure that everything going forward is a lot easier. So, Godspeed, good luck. Tomorrow I'm going to be working exclusively on the video. The goal is to get the video out by Friday. That is going to be the Noti Awards. It's currently looking to be about 12-13 minutes long. If things go according to plan, it should be. Hopefully people get a laugh out of it. Hopefully people enjoy it. It's going to be a little bit odd, but hey, welcome to the Notepad Anon experience. So, Godspeed, good luck. I'll see you all on Friday. I take that back. If we got a good time, if I got decent time tomorrow, I might stream tomorrow. I don't know.